Hi, so for today's video, I thought I would film in location because we are going to discuss a slightly taboo topic and a book that dives into it really well. We are going to talk about Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Doughty. Doughty is a funeral home owner, a mortician, and has worked in a crematorium. So she's got more than enough experience to broach the topic of what happens to our bodies when we die. She is also one of the founding leaders or personalities behind the death positivity movement, which is the idea that death, while uncomfortable, shouldn't be scary and something we're afraid to talk about. We should be okay and open with what we would like to see done to us when we die, or our views on our burial, or who gets our cat, or the concept of embalming versus not embalming, what we want to wear, if we want to be turned into jewelry. These are all things that Caitlin Doughty discusses on her YouTube channel. I will link her channel wherever the iCards show up. Here, maybe down there. I'm not really sure where they're at. So, here we go. Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? Caitlin Doughty goes on book tours, and she frequently encounters small children who are intrigued by the idea of death and their questions. So they ask questions like, will my cat eat my eyeballs? But also, can we give Grandma a Viking funeral? What would happen if you swallowed a bag of popcorn before you died and were cremated? Can I keep my parents' skull after they die? And will I poop when I die? She got so many of these questions, and so many of them were repeating, that she put them all in an easy to read book. It's got fantastic illustrations. Here's the skull. Her artist was absolutely fantastic, and they're hauntingly beautiful, but not morbid. And she answers the questions with both humor and an emotional consciousness of what she's talking about that makes it really easy to follow her and not feel grossed out when you're reading the answers. We're gonna just read a quick excerpt from Will My Body Sit Up or Speak on Its Own After I Die? Come closer, deathlings. I'm not sure I should be telling you this mortician's secret counsel. The mortician's secret counsel will be very angry with me. But one night, I was working late in the funeral home, alone. In the body preparation room, stretched on the table under a white sheet, was a dead man in his 40s. As I reached to turn off the light, a long, horrifying moan came from the body, and the man sat straight up, like Dracula rising from his coffin. Okay, that never happened. I made it up. Not the part about working late. Every funeral employee has to work late. But this story, or something like this story, is everyone's favorite morgue or funeral home twisted tale. It usually comes from a source like my husband's cousin's nephew, who worked at a funeral home in the 1980s and once saw a body sit up. You'll find the stories on message boards and articles with titles like "Creepy Stories Funeral Directors Don't Want You to Know." But what are the facts on postmortem movement? Your body is not going to sit bolt upright on its own corpsey power. This is not a horror movie, folks. Dead bodies aren't gonna scream, sit up, or grab your hair and pull you down to hell. Although I'll admit, I had some of these exact unfounded fears when I started working at a funeral home. However, just because your corpse isn't showing off with these grand, "look at me" moves doesn't mean there aren't a range of twitches, spasms, and groans a dead body might make. You're thinking a twitching dead body is still pretty freaky. I hear you. But there are simple biological reasons for how and why such a thing could happen. Right after a person dies, their nervous system may still be firing, which can cause small spasms and twitches of the body. These spasms usually happen in the first few minutes after death, but sometimes they're observed up to 12 hours later. As for noises, when a recently dead body is moved, air can be pushed out of the windpipe, creating an eerie moan. Most nurses have experienced some of these things, so after a person has been declared dead, their response to a twitch, movement, or moan tends to be calmer, not, "Dear God, it's alive! It's alive!" That is just a super quick excerpt from one of her chapters. If you want more of the explanation of the weird sounds and twitches our bodies make after death, come check the book out. We have it on our new shelf. It's fantastic, super easy to read. I read it in an evening. I'm also really obsessed with her YouTube channel, and that's how I found it. So that's also partially why we're giving this book review or a discussion push at you guys, because we think she's phenomenal and is talking about topics that aren't easy to talk about, which is almost right up a library's alley, is presenting info that might be tricky or controversial or just with that ick factor. So check it out, give it a read, check out her other two books, From Here to Eternity, In Search of the Good Death, and The Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, if you're more interested in what her life working in a crematorium and what other cultures do when a family member passes. And then also please check out her YouTube channel. It's phenomenal. I can't rave about her enough, which is probably not good. I obviously have a huge bias for her. But seriously, if you like weird, morbid books, or you're just really feeling that Halloween vibe, give her a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed.